I'm not seeing anything.
There we go. Last minute research before going live now that we're officially live. And I think we all are striking out on that search.
Yeah. Sure are.
I think mine is the only claim I know in this state. So
Um, yeah, I was going to say, I think the closest that I could find, well, there was like Texas, Oregon, Ontario.
mhm.
Melanie, hello, hello. Giving a couple minutes for
Morning.
more friends to join us. We're going to be talking about the Black Eyed Kids. And we were last minute going, well, isn't there a group in Ohio? Like a little patch? Because doesn't Ohio have like the Frogman too, like in central Ohio?
Yeah, that's Loveland. Yeah,
I just saved something like that.
yeah.
Because I'm in like an Appalachian witchcraft group, and somebody was specifically like talking about Ohio, which we don't always pop on there all the time. Because we're kind of no one knows what to do with us. So
Yeah.
Well, and apparently we are the next Florida.
right.
Well, Ohio's mostly when people think about weird stuff, they're either we are one of the most haunted states.
Hmm.
We're ranked in the top 10 haunted states, and then we have, I think we're ranked in the top 4 for like Bigfoot sightings.
Henry always says, why do people on YouTube always say Ohio's crazy? He goes, it's not. And I'm like, listen, it gets dicey. Okay. I was like, I can't get into all of this with you.
I mean,
but
It really is.
so I sure did, Melanie, right here. Quickly, so nobody sees address. And so I have them. Richie hasn't had a chance to see them, and Emily has not either. So if you want us to share those online, they would get to see it right here, right now, without any pre-thoughts or preconceived notions, but that is up to you. There
yeah.
there were some very interesting pictures in there. I will be showing these to Marianne in September because I think they're pretty blatant that there's something going on there.
Oh.
So uh, very, very, very interesting. So just let me know if you want us to show those on air. But that's why they're still in the envelope, so nobody gets to see them unless you want us to. Hi, Vicky. Um, but
Yay.
the main topic, black-eyed children or kids, BEK, not to be confused with some random, what is it, wrestlers that have silly little initials in their name. Awesome. So we will show Melanie's pictures when we're done with our black-eyed kids. So I'm interested to see your two reactions to them.
Yeah.
Because I purposely didn't show you, Emily. Like you were in the store when I got that package and everything, and I'm like, I'm not going to show her yet because I need to make sure to see them, and I think it'll be fun to do it this way.
Oh, that's so fun. And I'm surprised I made it through because I am so nosy. I'm surprised I wasn't like, what's in there?
Well, I'm like, oh, look at, oh, yep, in the book bag.
Slide that over there.
So guys, if you have questions about black-eyed kids, by no means are we the experts, but feel free to put them in there. Let's have a conversation. Richie has some info. I listened to a few podcasts about them because I couldn't find anything on any of the streaming services I had that were worth a damn to really watch about them. So
sounds like a punk band, doesn't it?
It does.
I would totally listen to that.
It's coming out of the mosh pit from the punk band.
Yeah, right. Black-eyed kids.
Now, have either of you had, and I already know the answer for one of you, an experience with black-eyed kids?
I have not, and that probably would be something that would scare the crap out of me. There aren't a lot of things that scare me, but creepy kids is one of them.
Yeah,
So,
I'd rather be in front of a full
Yeah.
adult size in a clown, and I hate clowns, in a
Yeah.
clown costume coming at me, and I'm going to be like, come on, you bring a kid,
exactly.
I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah, done
Yes.
by.
And
Exactly.
I'm
Like,
going to
no,
punch
thank
it
you.
across the room and then run in the other direction.
Yeah,
So
like no, thank you.
Yeah.
Um,
I used to think that it was crap. Every time I heard these stories, I'm like, it's crap. They're just some dumb kids just messing with people, and then it happened to me, and I'm like, maybe you don't know everything. That was the first time. Actually, it wasn't the first time, but it actually happened to me in the time that I was not dealing with the paranormal at all. So it was even scarier because I'd had my experience at the reformatory, so everything that went bump in the night scared me. But what scared me even more about the situation was how afraid my cats were before I ever even got off of my couch.
I like
So
pouring on screen, Emily.
my French press.
So even your
um,
cats were disturbed by this.
the cats knew before I ever got up. I mean, as soon as they knocked on our door, the cats ran to the back of the kitchen, which was in that little apartment. It was the furthest point you could get from the front door, and they were all hunched up and they were all hissing and whatnot. And
Oh wow.
my cats were the first time in my life, the only time I ever met cats who actually liked people, and I'd never heard them hiss at anybody. They never even hissed at each other for any reason. And they were all boys, and boys are always territorial anyway.
Mhm.
And but they would never even hiss at each other or growl at each other. But then them kids knocked on our door and they just went off, and I was like, this is something I need to pay attention to. But it's the middle of the night, and so the first thing I'm thinking is, okay, who is who's knocking on my door? I forget, it was close to midnight at this point. People ought not to be knocking on my door this late at night anyway. So you knock on my door that late at night, I am answering the door with my pistol in my hand. Not that it's going to do anything to them, but you know. So I had that in my hand, but as soon as I looked at them, because like I said, I'd heard of them before because I'd always been into the ghost shows and stuff, and I'd seen the episode of Monsters and Mysteries in America where the first person to have ever he reported in 1996, but they interviewed him and he was telling his story, and then I did a little dive into what they were and stuff. So as soon as I opened the door and I looked at him, I knew exactly what I was dealing with, and I'm like, we ain't doing this mess today. I'm tired. I'm not dealing with the paranormal anymore. We ain't doing this. But it is a very long story. Um, the entire story can be read in my book, my first book. Um, Obviously, something that freaky made it into the book, but um, mine was different than other people's. Most people say they see him in like a Victorian, not Victorian, but older type dress. Outdated is what I meant, not Victorian. Outdated. A few people have even said that they thought they were Mennonite children.
I heard that in a
But
couple
my
I listened to, that they thought that they were men.
yeah, yeah. And I'm like, see, I can see that. But what I saw was a couple of kids that looked like they fell out of the 90s.
So they're updating their
You
scam.
know,
We
yeah.
still got
I
old
mean, the
clothes,
best I
okay,
could,
but we gotta keep it like
there,
a 20-year.
yeah, there was the boy and a girl, and the boy I said he was dressed like Will Smith in a Fresh Prince promo. And
Wow, that's funny.
um
Did they have
I can't
MC
remember
Yeah.
I can't remember how the girl was dressed now. Um but that part, the boy sticks with me because of course I love Fresh Prince. So that part always just sticks with me. But none of it made sense. I mean, had I lived in my friend's apartment, I could almost understand it. But I'm on the back of the building, like you can't even see my door from the street or even the parking lot. So how the hell did you guys know I was even up and had like
Like if you needed help or whatever,
yeah,
that wouldn't be the first place.
right, that wouldn't be the first place to go. And it didn't make sense to me. But
I'm gonna make sure Zach crosses over right away. Like we're not doing this.
I'm gonna trap Zach in a damn box. The box.
but
That's
here's
interesting though.
In a cedar.
Yeah.
Here's my whole thing. A lot of people always come at me weird because they're like, I swear after that situation, I swear by gargoyles. Because I had gargoyles at the each corner of my little walkway going up to my apartment door for months, probably 7 months. Nothing happened. The day before those kids knocked on my door, the guys who came to the apartment to do the mowing broke my gargoyles. And the very next day, something happened.
Oh.
Tell me that those gargoyles were not protecting my apartment.
Wow. Did you ever ask other tenants if they also had experiences? Like, is it this?
Well, my neighbor seen them at the same time because he heard, because you guys know I get an attitude when people ain't listening to me, so I started raising my voice a little bit, and he came out of his door and he's like, "What the hell's going on out here? You know what time it is, right?" And they looked over at him, and then they disappeared. Like they didn't even walk away; they disappeared.
Oh my gosh!
Right in
That's
front
a
of
really interesting story. Like,
yeah, and
that
then
scare me.
Yeah, they usually walk away in
was
stories, you know.
right. That's what
You're like, oh shit, someone else is coming.
Well, see, that's why I think that there's different types of black-eyed kids. I think just the way I say with Bigfoot, I think that every theory is true.
Yeah. Also, maybe
But,
like where you're at, you know.
but here's another crazy thing that came from that. Less than a month later, that same neighbor lost his shit and damn near killed one of our other neighbors, and he tried to stab me. Last time I checked, he was locked up.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, so they drove you crazy, is what happened. So
You're nuts.
The existing mental illness.
well,
Yeah,
obviously,
I feel like there's gonna.
but it
Sounds
was
like the guy was a
it
little.
was like a month after that when he lost his shit, and I was like, I don't know what's going on around here, but I don't want to be here.
Right, but I want nothing to do with it.
So, I mean, I did leave the apartment. I'm only like 10 minutes away from the apartment, but now I'm better. So,
That's crazy though.
and I have wards up and stuff because I'm like, I am not dealing with this shit again. Like, I'm not going to trust just some random gargoyles I buy off of Amazon to actually protect me. I'm going to do it myself.
Mm.
But it is terrifying. It really is. I heard somebody describe it as a primal instinctual fear. You don't even know why you're afraid because you haven't even seen them yet. But as soon as they enter the picture, you're just automatically afraid. And I'm like, when I first heard that, and that was before um, my encounter, I'm like, that just doesn't make sense. Like, it's just somebody knocking on the door. How the heck do why are you automatically that afraid? But then it happens to you, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's how. Because your body knows something's not right. Everything around you is telling you that something is just not right, and that's what it was. And so that is one of the few things that I'm like, I hope I never see it or deal with it again.
Um, I do not have my own story, but I found a really interesting one on Reddit. You can always count on Reddit.
Oh,
To find some cool stuff. But I did also see something. So it says in 1950 there was a report. Somebody named Harold was walking home one afternoon, came across another boy leaning against the fence as if waiting for someone. He attempted to speak to him. He's about to walk off, and the strange boy suddenly said, "I want to go to your house. You're going to take me to your house."
The hell I am.
Right. And then it says, it was then that Harold noticed the blackness of the boy's eyes. There was no white in them, just solid black. Began to contemplate turning and running home. When something even stranger and more chilling happened. The boy blurted out, "Now don't you run away from me. You're going to walk me up to your house." Harold turned and ran away faster than his legs had ever carried him before. His parents believed their son's account, so much so that his father was said to have grabbed his gun and immediately gone out looking for the menacing boy who had demanded his son take him to their family home. All I want to say is, like, all this boy did was say, "You're taking me to your house," and you, a grown man, just grabbed your gun and, like...
Right.
But,
A
okay.
little overboard, maybe.
Right, like, okay, Harold's dad, like, chill out.
But to some effect, since I've dealt with it, if it was a genuine BEK encounter, I can understand like Harold's fear, and if his dad seen how absolutely like petrified he was of the situation, I can also see why dad's like, all right, we're going to go tear some stuff up.
Yeah, I do. That is just funny to me. Like,
but I, at the same, but we'll see. And here's the thing: I can't say nothing about Harold's dad because what did I do? I answered my door with a gun in my hand.
Right, so, but I'm saying this man went looking for this boy. Like, he had already
there's
done
a little
left.
bit different. Yeah, there's a little bit of a difference between what we.
This next story though was one that this was really creepy to me. And this was in Appalachia too. It doesn't say exactly where, but then a commenter said, "Not surprised you saw something like this in Appalachia. My grandmother grew up in the Roanoke Valley. She was not at all superstitious, but every once in a while she'd have a drink or two and open up about some of the stuff she'd seen in her youth."
Roanoke, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But this is the story. So, okay. "I believe I've encountered the black-eyed children over a decade ago in rural Appalachia. This has always low-key disturbed me. Keeping in touch to this day, we've never brought it up again." So this was an old friend that they were communicating with. "We were at a local state park, sort of a place, between 9 p.m. 1 a.m. I remember we were parked along the woods and some picnic tables. It was pretty desolate. We were technically trespassing. And what we were doing there, you can leave to your imagination." Yeah, like scary movie-esque, you know.
Mhm.
As our curfews were approaching, we were finishing up our time together. We experienced a very ominous feeling. He was in the driver's seat preparing to start the car and pull off, and the car doesn't start. We sort of laughed it off as it wasn't the first time and talked. Suddenly, to the right, the passenger side where I was sitting, we see faint lights coming out of the woods. The ominous feeling intensified. Emerging from woods were 4 to 5 children, younger than us, like appearing to be 7 to 11 years old, because the people telling this were 17. I'm not going to claim they had black eyes. It was dark. I don't remember, as I was pretty shook. I didn't read about the black-eyed children lore phenomenon until years later, which described everything else that we experienced. All I can say is they were not normal. They didn't belong. The cabins at the park were not occupied. They weren't even getting rented out as it was autumn or winter. We were miles from the park's hotel. There were no adults. They were absolutely out of place. What were the lights? I don't know, but the closest thing I could compare them to are glow sticks. Wasn't like they were having fun or goofing off. So they're like, it's saying it's not actually glow sticks. So they just stopped, stood there, and stared at us. He tried asking what they were doing, if they were lost, where are their parents? No response. The oldest looking child, a bit heavier set with a gray hoodie on, approached the vehicle just in the front where the passenger and headlight corner would be. My friend started really freaking out at this moment. He locked the doors and was like, hell no, we gotta go. Eventually, the car starts. The children don't move. The kid stays put in front of our car. My friend eventually yells at the kid, I'm going to run you over. And the boy slowly backs away, raises his arm, and points at us as we were leaving. I didn't look back. I'm like, that is pretty crazy. So they did say they didn't see the black eyes, and I appreciate at least the honesty of that. But I mean, I think they said there's no cabins being rented out. There were no cars. Like, this was at 1 a.m. So why are these children in the woods? Why are you coming out of the woods? And why are you standing in front of somebody's vehicle? So granted, that could be all made up. It is Reddit.
Yeah.
But I just thought that
I
story was interesting.
That feels to me, honestly, a lot like just a bunch of kids screwing around. If the whole thing wasn't made up, I think the other kids outside the car um, maybe were just some kids that were screwing around. Now, I know she said no cabins were rented or anything, but like they don't know that for sure. And just because there's no cars doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, somebody could have gotten dropped off.
Somebody could have got dropped off. There could be kids up there. They're probably just screwing around. And honestly, there's so many cases where at the end of the tale they're like, now maybe it was just some kids playing around, but if it was a really good joke.
Yeah.
But and let's face it, you're in the middle of the woods at night and a bunch of kids come out. That's going to be creepy in of itself. I mean, I don't care what anybody says, kids are creepy, especially at night. But especially out in the middle of nowhere after you've watched something like Children of the Corn or some shit. Like, yeah, kids out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
That's creepy.
Right.
So Bill says, I just got in here into the chat and catching up on some friends here. But a good friend had a black-eyed kid experience in Utah, and thank you for shopping with us. Says it was around 2 a.m. and he had one or two black-eyed kids wanted to come into his house. He said no, but minutes later, his now ex-wife was waking him up as he was getting ready to hit the garage door open button for them. The first time he told me about it, our internet crashed and took some time to come up. So from what I was finding online, because one thing we were doing, like right before we came online, all three of us were like, well, isn't there a patch of them like in central Ohio? So we were trying to Google around about Ohio, but what I kept finding was like Texas, Oregon, like kind of to the west.
Yeah.
So that makes sense for Utah. In that whole deserty area, as
I
much
was
as
about to say, Utah's
Tucson and all, like a lot of weird shit happens out there, and maybe that's why I'm like, I want to go.
Yeah, exactly. Utah is its own place. Okay, that's where all the ranches are. That's where Blind Frog Ranches, Skinwalker Ranch, Area 51. Like,
right. Let's see. Thank you, Chair. Because I broke my little hairband.
It makes sense too that his wife had to wake him up as he was getting ready to open the door, because there's been a few accounts where people have been telling the kids no, that they won't let them in, and then they just suddenly realize that the whole time they're having this conversation, they have been working on opening the door to let the kids in. And then they kind of snapped to and realized what they were doing, and was like, wait, no, absolutely not.
That's so scary.
So, yeah.
Like, the podcasts I listen to, if you go, like I use Apple, but I'm sure if you go into any podcast streaming service and just type in Black Eye, like you'll get tons. But like in at least one of the stories, even though the woman was like, I've got this dog, it likes to run out, so my door's barely open to keep the dog from sneaking past as I'm talking
Yeah.
to these kids, and I'm saying no. All of a sudden I realized my door has been opened wider. Like I was subconsciously opening this door
Yes.
wider anyway, despite saying no.
Exactly. Yep. I think we're talking about the same story here.
Let's see. That's kind of interesting because I'm like, maybe it is. Or my mind just went blank. It's a type of training that like salesmen will get trained in, how to get people to act a certain way.
What is it, NLP?
Yeah.
I think that's what
Like,
it's called.
So it's like this person's telling me no, but I'm going to say open the door, and like the shaking of the head yes, like
Yeah.
subconsciously gets people to start agreeing with you. So I'm like, or were
Right.
these little buggers trained in NLP? You are going to let us in.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess it depends on what theory you go with. I mean, and it makes sense in pretty much all theories. Um, because in a lot of cases, well, not a lot of cases, but in some cases with certain of these creatures that they are expected to be, you hear of people not realizing what they're doing. People are like, are they spirits? Are they ghosts of some kind? Are they demons? Some people think that they may be a race of aliens.
I don't know why, but my gut tells me Fae.
And I
honestly,
I feel like they are. I feel like I said, all theories are true, but there's one that I thought of before I heard it, and then I heard it, and I'm like, cool, I'm not the only one. So there's the alien human hybridization program, and I think the kids may be human alien hybrids, because they look like humans, but they have the black eyes like the gray aliens. And aliens are people who have encounters with aliens are known to go blank at the time and remember later. They are known to be compelled to do things that they don't want to do. But then in those situations, also, you got the fact that they completely do what they're told. So,
Of course,
but I still believe that. I think that all cases are different. I think, like I said, I think there are some that are some kind of evil demonic spirit. Some are just regular aliens. Some are what I think. Somebody called aliens, instead of extraterrestrial, they said extra dimensional, which I would have called interdimensional before that, but I like extra dimensional better.
that's just like that's called that's the ultra terrestrial.
So maybe that's what happened. Maybe they didn't just go poof like I thought. Maybe they were just like, oh shit, there's two people looking at us. Let's go back let's just step back through this rift because we can't be here anymore.
Exactly. They can't be ghosts because they can't just walk in like Earthbounds can.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. That is true. You're absolutely right about that, because they have to be invited in, like, and that's why some people are like, maybe they're a form of vampire because they have to be invited in.
So it's funny because Zach kind of agreeing, Caitlin agreeing.
Okay, they both said it too, huh?
And I was Googling, and there's a lot of theory on that. And so then I was trying to find like what race or class if they would have that.
Did you just hit me?
Because I'm like, okay, depending on what lore you get into, you have the court, the night court, you have your seasons, you have your fauna and all this other stuff. So I'm like,
I'm only smiling because Akatar.
you
Like
know,
Court of Thorns and Roses, they have all of that in there. So
yeah.
for people
And
who
then I'm also, if you guys have never read or listened to the Jim Butcher series, The Dresden Files, and I swear this author is a practitioner himself or has a really good close friend who is, because a lot of 99% of the shit in the book is like accurate. Um, they dabble in with the whole like Fey realm and the Winter Queen, the Summer Queen, and all the breakdowns. And I'm like, I can't remember any of them being described as black eyed, but it's been a couple of years. Probably
yeah. Well, it reminds me of changelings.
true.
So that was what people used to think was when kids started they were real creepy. Like their kid all of a sudden is super creepy, not affectionate,
Mhm.
eyes changing. They believed that
Oh, yeah.
Fae basically took their kiddo away and replaced them with a Fae child or a changeling. Um, so yeah, so Zach says changeling is a second guess. So a lot of people think that's like a type of Fae. It makes sense for trying to be invited in and all of that because we all know they get more power from kind of agreements and things like that. So you giving your name, you saying thank you inviting them in, you offering your help. Also, them being able to change your awareness. So getting you to do something that maybe you wouldn't typically do because you're just floating around in fairyland. Like, that my first instinct immediately was Faye, Faye, Faye. Also, a lot of the times this is happening in places that are more natural, more rural. Nature spirits are high and mighty and lots of nature energy there. So definitely more Fae, I feel like, would choose to stay somewhere that is not as developed, if that makes sense.
As for that, there's not a higher number of sightings at specific times of year. They're just kind of all around the year. I've seen them in the fall, in the dead of winter. Mine was in the middle of summer. So they're just all over the place. Not really a specific season.
Mhm.
I mean, I think that these things just come out whenever they feel like it, regardless of.
It would be interesting, some of all of these stories, yours included, Richie, like what was going on in the personal lives to make them be drawn to those specific people, that they're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go visit this one.
Yeah, I mean, and that's
That's-
something that I want to figure out with my story, because at the time, like I said, I wanted nothing to do with anything paranormal at all, period, point blank. And then
yeah,
we
especially after.
had been out all day on the river. We had a great day, and then that happened to me, and I'm like, okay, that was, I don't understand, like, and I don't understand, like I said before, I don't understand why they came to my apartment, because it didn't track with what I'm used to seeing, like, you know houses out in the middle of nowhere, or a single car sitting in a parking lot, something like that. I'm literally in a group of apartments on the back side of a building. You wouldn't even know I'm here unless you were intentionally looking for me.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
yeah, because some of these other stories, they don't give you a whole lot of what happened before. Just
Yeah.
like there was this evening, and I got a knock at the door at 10 o'clock, which was weird. But then they'll
Right.
go later of like malaise, illness, divorce, losing jobs, and they blame the black eyed kid for all of it. And I'm like, but was it really all them?
No. That's like I saying about the guy and the old lady. The guy got diagnosed with skin cancer, and she was having all these issues, like, but you guys are also elderly, so things were going to start turning for you probably anyway. um with me, when I said that about my neighbor went nuts, well, he was already crazy. That may have helped him along the way to snapping, but
Mhm.
he already had those issues. So
I wonder first of all, I like what Zach said. I don't think I'm able to like click it, but
Is it the newest one?
yeah, he said, I think a lot of these things happen to you, Richie, for the same reason none of it happens to me. I don't know what that specific reason is. Could be chance, karma, affinity, but two sides same coin. So I do agree with that. It's kind of just like maybe what your life path is, what you're supposed to kind of be focusing on. I wonder, which this just occurred to me, so I could be completely off with this, but I wonder if it's more of like an omen. In a way, because kind of like the Grimm, right? Like everyone sees those black dogs and they assume the black dog is what's evil, but really they're coming just like an omen of change, telling you something's going to be happening. So maybe they're coming when people are struggling or like having a hard time and all of that, and that's why they feel like, oh, ever since they came, you know, X, Y, and Z happened, but it's just like the time of life that you're in. I'm not sure. So Zach said Banshee, but make it contemporary American.
Yeah, it's all this. It's all the same idea. I think there's some credence to that. I think it's definitely a great theory, because everybody does blame the kids, but it's like, and like you said, they blame the dog, and it's like it's not the dog's fault. It was just coming to tell you. You know, it's another thing. I believe that. I believe the same thing. I believe that's exactly what the Mothman is as well. I don't think that he caused any of the issues that happened. He's just there.
Yeah, I think he was just vibing. That's my favorite.
You know,
Mothman's my favorite cryptid. He didn't do anything wrong.
I think he was, you know, like for the Silver Bridge, I think he was more trying to scare people off the bridge because he knew what was going to happen. Whereas everybody's like, oh my God, there's a monster. He must be the reason that it happened.
That makes sense.
And that's what we do.
So Sean over here, crybaby, hello. Isn't it like a pre-carnation agreement? Like we chose this life. So maybe it's like Richie is like, I'm willing to see these things and deal with them, and Zach's like, no, fuck that. I've got other things I'm doing.
Yeah, well, I hope I'm smart next time round and say, yeah, I don't want to do this next time round.
It's a fun little, I don't want to say joke, but it's one thing that we all know about Emily in the store. And anything remotely Mothman, we're like, Emily, and we got that chicken tomorrow.
We've got a new, how do I put this? Genre of books, okay? Little spicy genre. And
all paranormal and witchy based.
Yes. Yeah. So we're calling it paranormal romance or paranormal fiction, but you can use your imagination. And one of them is called Moth Wanted. And it's about the Mothman. And I like have to read it just out of curiosity now, because first of all, the title, and I love, like, it makes you want to say Moth Wanted, which is just like worse. But yes, I love Mothman. If I were to walk out this room and walk to my bedroom, I have a big old Mothman that is sitting on my bed that I had to get because Henry stole my little one. So now I have two Mothman stuffies in my house. But yeah, that's my guy for sure.
Yeah, I've been down to the bunkers, and I'm pretty sure that I was very close to him. I'm pretty sure he was in the bunker with me. I'm definitely of the opinion that he can. In the house with the people who think that he is also interdimensional.
Oh, yeah.
I know for a fact that something was in there. I won't say that it was him, but considering that it happened where in the area where he's supposed to live at, I'm like, it's a pretty good possibility.
Yes, I'm so mad at myself because I'm pretty sure, getting married on the day of the Mothman Festival. Again, I've somehow missed it like every year, and it's infuriating. So, because I want to go so bad. First of all, just yeah, like this statue. Everyone laughs because Mothman has this like bodacious booty.
Yes.
Like
they're starting to leave dollar bills like in the crack now, which is hilarious too.
If I'm
like
gonna
if I
be
go
honest,
just for that.
if I'm gonna be honest, the festival's not really worth going to.
Okay, good to know.
It is so much like there's no other way to say it. It's literally elbow to elbow, like you have to fight to get anywhere.
Yeah.
I was so enclosed in people that my anxiety started to give in, and I was about to have a freak out. I was there for maybe 30 minutes, and I was like, yeah, I drove all the way down here, but I got to go home. I can't do this.
Zach, the wedding's September 21st. I'm getting married on the equinox as a for true witchy.
Of course.
Witchy nature, yeah. Yoinked that date real fast. But also as far as Mothman goes, Mothman prophecies, yeah. I really like the area anyway, I think. So even if I kind of just stopped in the festival for a little bit, and then we ride a lot of dirt bikes and stuff. So we go down to Hatfield McCoy and ride out there. So most likely it would be like a day trip, stop at the little Mothman coffee shop, touch Mothman's booty, and then move on.
Gotta give it a pat.
Karen said, do not reschedule your wedding, girl. Well, you know me.
It's like, sorry, babe, we have to move it to next week.
Yeah, Mothman. Either we're getting married at the Mothman Festival or it's getting pushed back.
I mean, I don't think their little town would be opposed to it.
Right.
So we are getting close to ending, and since we have Melanie's permission, we're going to go over some pictures that Melanie has sent. What? That is, we have Gothman in our town. He's pretty miserable. Is he Gothman or emo man? I mean, there is a difference for miserableness.
That's so funny.
True, we tend not to be as goths to be miserable. We just are pissed. Emo.
Yeah.
My soul is so dark. Darker than the coffee.
Oh my God.
Oh, man.
There we go, right? Yes, see, emo is more accurate. So, Melanie, our friend here in chat, who's been with all of the paranormal discussions, even when it started with Marianne and I for a few years. Like, I lost track of how long Marianne and I were doing it. So she sent us pictures from Bonaventure Cemetery in Savannah. These were taken during the After Hours tour. The statue of the little girl is Gracie Watson. You see here is her statue's got this glow around it. There is no light around her statue anywhere near her plot. I didn't use a flash when taking these photographs. She is known as Savannah's little sweetheart. There are a few around the veterans section, just shooting randomly up and around the section. And this is interesting because, of course, I was sitting there looking at these and I'm like, you can see the difference from shot to shot. So let me find one of the more normal. None of them are normal, really. Mm-hmm. So this is probably the most. And now we're going to play and see if we can't get some of the glare. So here's little Gracie. And I don't know if you can see, there's like this fuzziness of her, right? And if you look at the rest of the picture, everything else is in focus.
Right.
And what I found interesting through the photos, like here's that blurriness in the second one, still kind of around, in that middle area. But then we have another photo where it's more up by the head.
That's weird for it to be multiple different pictures.
Like moving.
Area.
Yeah. Yeah, the blur's moving for sure.
And the rest of the photo is in focus.
Yeah.
So it's not like,
I mean, even the rest of the statue's in focus. It's just that one part.
Mm-hmm.
That's even weirder. Yeah. And it's right at the face of where that kind of energy of the
Yeah.
headstone
Yeah.
would be, right? If it's like being reminiscent of somebody, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
almost like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's almost like I could see the spirit like sitting inside of the headstone. Does that make sense? Like they're almost like, that looks like me, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
like how they do with skulls or dolls or things that have faces and kind of
Right. Yeah.
you know, are human looking.
So, and like in this one, it's like all over the head. And in some of them, and if Melanie gives permission for this, I will upload them into our Discord because it's hard to see with the glare.
Right.
But at times, it's almost like the spirit is standing next to it, so it's like slightly off.
That's so
Um, so we'll have to get these up in Discord if. Thank you. So we'll get those up in Discord, and I'll share the link here in a minute. So here are, that's another one of the little sweetheart lady. And this one I find very interesting because I have snuck into many cemeteries, including some military ones, and the military ones always seem to have more shit going on. So here is a tombstone, and right in that center, completely blurry,
Mm-hmm.
everything else in focus.
Oh, I see.
More up close. So you can tell it's not like the stone's been damaged, that it's only been worn away right there. So
That's
I'd be really curious to know what words are under there. Like, you know what I mean? Like what part of
yeah.
the inscription.
Oh, thank you, Chair. Chair's trying to help out with the Discord for me on the back end. Thank you. This one, and I'm like, try to get the glare down. I'm gonna move this maybe. You see that ball of something up there?
Mm.
That one does not look like a flash glare. I can't say that it's a fingerprint over the lens either because it doesn't have the right striations of what a fingerprint would look like, but it's interesting.
That is super cool.
I'm a big fan of military cemeteries because that's all the coolest stuff has always been in a military type of cemetery.
Yeah, Melanie, if you have any pictures, I saw her commenting of Gracie in the day, that'd be awesome so that we can
compare and see and
for sure.
Yeah.
And like look at all of that. Now my only thing, Melanie, please don't take offense. When you're outside, it's hard to tell what of these might be orbs versus bugs versus pollen.
Yeah.
But I mean that's super concentrated. But I would be curious to know what are the trees and the flora around there just to make sure.
Right.
But I just like the aesthetic of the picture anyway. Talk about
Oh,
perfect gothy background to to something. Let's see. Oh, thank you. She's like done. So there's going to be pictures of daytime. Let's see.
Zach is asking. Oh, she said you had something upside down, I guess.
It did. Maybe I was holding
that one.
Yeah.
And then Zach also wants to know if we have decided when we're going to the reformatory or when we're going to do another. I'm not sure if the reformatory will be the first place, but me and Richie have been talking. We kind of joined forces a little bit there as far as the paranormal stuff goes. We really want to start getting out there. So as soon as we have anything booked, we'll post it in that group as well as on our private or personal Facebooks. But we're probably thinking Dill House or something like that, starting off a little smaller. The other option was maybe the Millersburg Hotel. So, but we'll be doing one of those places and we'll definitely keep you guys posted. But sorry for the tangent. Just wanted to respond to that question. So,
let's see. Get in here. Oh my God. Yes, I'm a human.
And if I can find it, my friend has a really crazy paranormal picture as well, where you can literally see like a face, an ear, everything. And she sent it to me just kind of like, oh, there's like this weird blur. And then I zoomed in and looked, and I'm like, Gabby, that's a whole person. So if I can find it, I'll post it in the Discord as well.
I wish that I still had access to all of the paranormal pictures that I've had, but unfortunately, they were downloaded to a computer that pissed me off, and I may or may not have punched a hole through it and lost everything that was in it. And that was, but that was a long time ago when I had anger issues. So now I'm a lot more patient with my computer. This one's a couple years old. It survived.
I am trying to get the Discord for everybody who is not on Twitch, because for some reason StreamYard did not see all of that coming through. So, but let's see. Yes, there's like maybe some molecules, but we are going to get those pictures up there for everybody to take a look at. And I thought we had it in a banner for our Discord.
Oh, I found it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Thank you. Because Discord keeps saying that I'm not human, and maybe they're right. Who knows?
Yeah, if you send them to me, I can post them in there if you want. If you're having an issue getting into Discord.
Yeah, for some reason.
Okay. I need her to send me the original.
I'm like, why are we being jerks, guys? In the meantime, put the Discord link in the chat. And then this afternoon or so, I'll get them put up there or sent to Emily and be like, hey, get these up there for me.
Yes.
But we've been adding to the Discord different book recommendations and different types of witchy stuff, paranormal stuff, podcast stuff. So feel free to get in there, chat with like-minded people and friends and suggestions. Yeah, thanks, Cher. Like I just uploaded into the one book section. I just finished a book called Rhapsodic, which is Fae related. It was an okay listen. I don't know if that would be one to be like, go get it, guys. But like Fae fiction, Rhapsodic was pretty good. But now, Emily, you are reading at the store today.
Yes.
So if you're in town and you'd like to stop in and see Emily, you can pre-book or you can just walk in. Richie, you're going to be with us at the Psychotic Fair on the weekend. And again at the Wine and Spirits in September.
Yep, that I will be.
So you can come see Richie if you're local. Grab his books. And Richie, you make like little bracelets and stuff like that too. So but yeah, you can stop out and see us. We haven't decided what the next topic will be yet, which a lot of times it's like 3 days after the live. We're like, hey, what about this? Or I came across this. Let's talk about it. But feel free. Drop suggestions, email them in, throw them in the Discord. We'll make that channel too, like topic suggestions.
Yes, please.
I did get my ghost pictures in at least, so I did share those in there for those who want to see. But you could kind of see in the first picture, it's just like weird images and stuff, like these weird lines that kind of popped up. And then she took a picture of the place she was staying, and we drew a little arrow so you can see the
Mhm.
face, and then the next one is zoomed into the face, but it's kind of crazy. So,
Right.
Chris will be at the fair as well. I
Yes.
think.
Yes.
Yes.
And at the Wine and Spirits.
Yeah.
So, Zach, I saw your message. I thought I responded, and as I just checked my phone, I have not. But Zach, if you still want to join us for the fair, you can come on in. And Zach should be with us at the Wine and Spirits as well. So I've got readers galore between on screen and in chat. You know. What size pick do we want to place in? I think the ones that you sent, 4x6 is good. And I do not disturb just turned off because we're seeing all of the.
All right. I don't even know how Discord works.
But this size worked really well. Or if you want to email it, if you have a way of emailing it, you can do that too, so you don't have to send postage. But I do like that you sent these ones in, printed form, because sometimes it's easier to see this way. And I will definitely be showing Marianne in September.
Yeah.
Also, side note, they do have Polaroid cameras at Five Below right now for $25. So I'm thinking about snagging one, because those are really interesting. Little paranormal hunting tool, I guess. Sometimes that's kind of overlooked. So if I grab one, we go to a haunted place, I'll have to snap some pictures. But
is it full size Polaroid, or is it those little mini ones that they have?
They're little, yeah, they're littler, but
yeah, I don't really like the quality that comes out of the little Polaroids. We bought one once for when I worked with developmentally disabled, and I took a picture of the whole group, and when we got the picture out, I looked at it, I'm like, wow, this camera's terrible.
yeah, it's also $25, so we'll see. I doubt the quality is going to be great.
Well, and sometimes you have to watch. The film for Polaroid cameras can be really hard to get sometimes.
Yeah.
Or it's like
that's
$1 per picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a while there, what was it, like 5 years ago or so, where they had those small ones out that you got at like Joann's and packaging. But it's like once that fad died down, you couldn't get the film. So then you would have this camera and no way to get the film.
Right.
So that's the only drawback to
Yeah.
that.
Or if you can find it, it's super expensive. So
Yeah. Because Polaroid and our original Aura camera was a type of Polaroid.
Oh.
And Polaroid themselves quit making the film, and the only company that was out of Germany. So we had to keep paying extra for this film, and then by the time it arrived, it was bad because they can be temperature sensitive, and in that airplane ride over, it would be, and you would not know until you opened up a perfectly good looking box, throw it in the camera, start to take pictures, and everything's coming out just gray.
Oh, that's such a bummer.
So, but hopefully, the camera that you found, there's a U.S. side company making the film, so you don't have to temperature issues
right now out of curiosity. But
if Polaroid was still doing the thing, man, it's totally worth it, because real genuine Polaroid cameras are amazing, and I love them.
I'm finding film. Chris says they got it out in Middlefield. So
okay. Yeah, I'm seeing them, but it's like 50 shots, like $50, $55, so it's like, hey, we can take 2 pictures on a ghost hunt,
and then we're done.
Too expensive.
We get a live example of spam in chat, and I've already deleted 2 of her messages. And before I delete this one right here, this is your spammy type of solicitation.
Oh, okay. I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I see
before that.
Them, and I'm like, I was waiting for Melissa to call somebody out. So
I deleted it, and then here it is again. I'm like, okay, well now I'm going to embarrass you. So feel free, guys, to go report for spam. And make sure Teresa doesn't take advantage of other people who may not be aware of the scamminess of it. So we'll leave that up there.
100%.
Go find her, go report. Have a great time. And now what I'm going to do is Black User. Bye-bye.
We always find them, don't we?
Bye.
What is so funny? The world's sort of paranormal. We don't know, Chair.
Right. So, well, thank you guys for joining us. We're going to hop off here. So Emily can get ready to read and Ricky can get a nap in. I'm going to go make another cup of coffee and start working on either getting those pictures up myself or getting them to Emily and like, hey, get them up there for me while I figure out why Discord thinks I'm not a human. But thanks for joining us, guys. We plan on being back in 2 weeks with another topic to go over. So have a great couple of weeks, guys.
Yep, we'll see you guys soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.